If you were a child of the 90s, there's a very good chance you used to go over to your friend's house to play NES games in good old two-player mode. And you know what? I used to do that all the time. But I bet you there was a couple kids out there that used to go to their friend's house and their family couldn't afford that second NES controller, so they'd get some weird, strange, third-party monstrosity from some company that didn't care about how your hands felt after your gaming endeavors. This is the Quickshot Nintendo Joypad, and it is one of the worst controllers I've ever used on the NES. Now look, I'm not making fun of anybody out there that couldn't afford that second controller from Nintendo. I realize they used to be pretty expensive. But there is no excuse for buying this one. This one is pure, unadulterated evil. The damn thing it's just not good. The buttons are the squishiest buttons I've ever used. In fact, if you put a blindfold on me and told me to push one of those buttons, I would have swore to God it was a marshmallow underneath my finger, because this thing is that bad. In fact, it's not even that responsive. And you know what really gets me that I cannot understand at all? Why the select and start button is just one big bar. Who thought that was a good idea? You know how the buttons are usually separate because they serve separate functions? Well, this one kind of works like a teeter-totter. There's some kind of like bridge in the center that prevents you from pushing the whole thing down, but the far left and the far right do push down to activate the select or the start. It is really crazy because it just doesn't work that well, especially when you're trying to hold it with one hand, which I don't think was the purpose of this controller. See, the way you hold it is kind of with one hand cradling it and the other one awkwardly fingering it for some strange reason. It doesn't quite work as a two-handed controller because, well, your hand starts to hurt from being in this very strange position all the time. And it doesn't quite work as a one-handed controller because, well, nobody's hands are designed like claws. So really, when you look at this controller, I just have to assume it was made for nobody. Or somebody with like the strangest hand in the world. Now, one of the hallmarks of this controller is how really squishy it is, and you can just kind of hear it all over. Most controllers don't sound like that. This one does. But one of the big features, one of the ones that you just cannot ignore, is its directional shield bowl thing. Pop it up here. Now look at this. This right here is insanely bad. Now, I know modern controllers have some kind of shields, like the Xbox 360 controller, or even the Xbox One Elite's controller does have a shield design if you want to use it. But this right here doesn't work, because when you put your finger on it, you have no idea what up is, or what down is, or what left is, or what right is. See, this shield here is so unbelievably unresponsive that you will not be able to play any game you try. Now, as you can see in this gameplay footage here, I played a ton of games. A ton of them just don't work because you really don't have that same sense of control that you'd get with a real NES controller. See, with the original D-pad, it's really easy to aim up, down, left, or right, and it's just kind of how that NES controller works. But with this one, when you're not looking at the controller directly, you might just kind of move off a little bit to the left or right, and then the whole thing just doesn't work. It really is a terrible directional pad, and the buttons, being as squishy as they are so unresponsive that you would be incredibly surprised when you do happen to push them. Now, one thing I absolutely hate about this controller more than I thought I ever would was that when I did try to use this controller one-handed on certain games like RPGs and stuff like that, well, to actually hit the top A and B buttons is like trying to get your hand into this weird claw motion, and it hurt. It hurt a lot. This controller serves no purpose. It doesn't work with two hands, it doesn't work with one hand, and it just doesn't work with games. Why they decided to make this thing is completely beyond me. It's just terrible. I know in most reviews you're supposed to say something nice about the controller that you're looking at. Well, there's one thing. It's got an auto fire switch. Which is cool, I guess. Because I think they knew how bad these buttons were and that you can't really tap them fast enough because, well, they're so damn squishy and sometimes they actually get locked in place and they don't come back out. So at least with auto fire, you can just hold it down and it'll keep doing the motion button input again and again. I am just trying my best to find something good about this, but there really is very little. This controller is an abomination and does not deserve anyone's respect. If you ever went to a friend's house in the 90s and they offered this to you as the second controller of choice, you should go to that friend now. Find them wherever they are. Fly to that city, take that train trip, and punch them so hard in the face that they'll remember exactly why you're doing it. Because once upon a time, sometime in the past, you were forced to use this total piece of shit.